And so I get the paper back a week later. Dr. Post gave me an A, and then in the margin he wrote, "Please see me after class." So I go up to him. I said, "Dr. Post, you wanted to see me?" He says, "Come to my office." This classroom was like on the 6th floor and the office was on the 4th. So I went down there. He closed the door and he says, "Look, I'm not really a professor here. I'm a CIA officer, undercover as a professor here. I'm looking for people who would fit into the CIA's culture. I think you would fit in. Would you like to join the CIA?"
But it wasn't a requirement when you I guess, I don't know if you audition for the CIA, but how do you?
Yeah, you kind of do. Yeah.
What's that process like? Like, how do you get?
Extensive.
Is it?
It's changed from when I joined. When I joined, I was in graduate school at George Washington University, and I was taking a class called The Psychology of Leadership. And the class was about why foreign leaders make the decisions that they make. One of the examples that sticks in my mind is the Yalta Conference at the end of World War II. Why was it in Yalta, of all places?
I'm not familiar with it. Bring it up. The Yalta Conference. The World War II.
Yeah.
The Yalta Conference was a World War II meeting of the heads of government of the United States, UK, and the Soviet Union to discuss the post-war reorganization of Germany and Europe. Okay.
Yeah. So Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin.
They all met in Yalta.
They all met in Yalta, which is really, really hard to get to. And you can't just, get in a plane and fly over the war. The war's still going on.
Right.
So Roosevelt took a train to Norfolk, Virginia, then took a boat to Malta, which took like a week, right? Back in those days.
Which is obviously a psyop because it rhymes with Yalta.
Right. And then he had to go to Cairo and then Iran and then from Iran to Yalta. He was sick. He died a month later.
Wow.
So the reason why it was in Yalta is because Stalin had a spy in the White House and the spy told him Roosevelt is sick. And so Stalin wanted him to be as weak as possible. When they arrived, or when the American side arrived, Roosevelt was exhausted and he wanted to go to sleep.
And
but Stalin insisted that the talks begin immediately.
Wow.
And so just to be able to go to bed, Roosevelt gave up Poland.
Look, I'll throw in Poland. Let's talk tomorrow.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, dude. Look, sometimes bro, you show up and you're like, yeah, you just
can't do it.
Yeah. Or you just say, look, yes, take that. That's fine. I got, you know what I'm saying? I got to brush my teeth and lay down for a few minutes. It's crazy the things you will give up when you first get somewhere just to get to your room and unpack.
Amen.
To urinate. Oh.
So I'm in this class.
And just to be clear, so they made him go all that way just because they knew it would weaken him.
Yeah, there it is.
So they created a path that would just like, that would add to him because they had a spy in the White House.
Yeah.
President Franklin D. Roosevelt died of a massive cerebral hemorrhage on April 12th, 1945 at Warm Springs, Georgia, just 2 months after the Yalta Conference. Wow. The grueling 7,000-mile trip to the Soviet Union combined with his severe underlying cardiovascular conditions took a significant toll on his already failing health. Wow.
You see what a well-placed spy can do for you?
That's strategy right there.
That is strategy. That's the big leagues right there.
That's the big leagues.
So I'm in this class and the professor, Dr. Gerald Post, eminent psychiatrist, tells us to shadow our bosses for a week, just watch our bosses, spend each day with them, and then do a psychological profile on our bosses.
And this is when you're at George Washington University. You're a student.
Right.
Okay.
I was in grad school.
Got it.
There's Jerry. And what a great man he was. He died of COVID, the poor guy.
Oh.
So
he was murdered.
Right.
Carry on.
I'm working at the United Food and Commercial Workers Union at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked for this guy who was a mean, like angry, old school union organizer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was a little bit afraid of him, to tell you the truth. Big, strong, mean guy. And halfway through the week, we got into an argument, and I called him a racist, which he was.
Yeah.
And he got so mad, he set a stance, and he put up his fists like this. And I put up my hands thinking, dang it, I went too far this time. And he goes, my penis is bigger than yours. And I said, what? And he goes, my penis is bigger than yours. I said, you know what? You're nuts. And I quit, and I walked out. So I went back and I banged out my paper I said he was a sociopath with psychopathic and possibly violent tendencies. And I footnoted the whole thing. It wasn't just John venting on it.
But with a possibly decent wiener on it.
You're right, apparently.
You got to put that
Apparently. And so I get the paper back a week later. Dr. Post gave me an A. And then in the margin, he wrote, please see me after class. So I go up to him. I said, Dr. Post, you wanted to see me. He says, come to my office. This classroom was like on the 6th floor and the office was on the 4th. So I went down there. He closed the door and he says, look, I'm not really a professor here. I'm a CIA officer undercover as a professor here. I'm looking for people who would fit into the CIA's culture. I think you would fit in.
No way.
Would you like to join the CIA? And I said, oh, yes, I would. And so the rest, though, is up to you. It was kind of a long story. I'll skip it. But he made a couple of calls that got me deep into the process.
Got it. So Mr. Post was your professor.
Yes.
And you also had this job where you were where the guy was the racist guy.
Yeah, that was at a union.
Okay.
So I was using that union job to put myself through grad school.
Got it.
And then I quit and I walked out. I said, the guy's dangerous. And I guess the way I wrote the paper made him think that the analysis was concise. It was to the point, and I backed it up with the facts. So I go through these weird. He sent me across the river to Roslyn, Virginia, Arlington, Virginia. It's a little neighborhood right across the Potomac from Washington.
Hold 1 second.
Yeah.
So he was a CIA operative. This professor.
Yes.
Now, when someone's a CIA operative but also a professor, are they an actual professor that then gets hired?
That's a great question.
Like, which is first?
That's a great question. It's usually that they're a CIA operative first and then they get hired as a professor. What he did is illegal today.
Got it.
So in 1993, Congress passed the Equal Employment Opportunity Act, the EEOC, which made this illegal. So now it's very not sexy. You just go to www.cia.gov and click apply.
Right. Different.
It's different.
It's a little easier.
Back then, it was, all white guys from Ivy League schools for the most part. And now it's different.
It was exciting.
It was exciting.
Oh, I bet it was one of the most exciting things.
I used to park my car out in the North 40 and then take 20 minutes to walk all the way around the compound so I could walk in the main door across the giant seal and see the Wall of Honor and the flags. And I felt like I wanted to cry.
Yeah.
I was so proud to be there.